Welcome back to the Wrestling Wrantz project. James and I are back to tackle the wrestling world once again. WWE has completed its draft, and both Raw and SmackDown are looking a lot different now. Who knows what feuds will happen as we wrap everything up prior to the draft, as WWE's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view on the 25th is coming up. New Japan is drawing close to its G1 climax, and AEW is now officially 1 year old, with their anniversary show airing last night. But with so much wrestling to talk about, let's start off by welcoming James back to the podcast after his break. Welcome back, bud. How are you this evening?
I'm good. It's good to be back. It's a longer than intended break, but life happens and stuff. So yeah, good to be back. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right today, but I'm eager to dive into wrestling talk with you. But you came back with a little gift for the podcast. You have a brand new mic now, so you're moving upwards.
I am, yes. I've invested into a new microphone, so maybe I sound better, although I don't know if that's what the listeners want to hear.
Oh, it's the first step in becoming a podcaster, getting a good microphone for yourself. Yeah, so before we dive into WWE and AEW and all that wonderful wrestling, I found a few articles here that I wanted your thoughts on, and they go back and forth between WWE and AEW. So I guess I'll just start off with the Andrade is going to be off TV for about a month. Did you hear of that?
Yes, I just read it as we were waiting and loading everything up. I was reading what was going on with him because obviously he wasn't drafted. So I was intrigued to find out what was going on with him.
Yeah, apparently he's undergoing elective surgery. He's going to be out for about a month. This is being reported from Wrestling Inc. So it's a minor elective procedure, and he'll be out for around about a month. So that isn't bad. But the rumor is apparently him and Zelina might face The Fiend and Alexa Bliss at some point.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because they've got The Fiend obviously and Alexa together. But I get confused with the Andrade Zelina storyline because one moment they're together, then they're falling out, then they're not together, and then they're back together again. So yeah, it does. Unfortunately, it sounds more of the same when he comes back, which is unfortunate, I think, because he's a great talent that I feel has lost his way this year. Start of the year, he was the US champion, and everything just seemed to be on an upward trajectory. And then since everything's changed, yeah, he's lost his direction a bit since then, and it's unfortunate because I think 2020, if all had been normal, would have been a big year for Andrade.
Yeah, it might have been, especially because he shared that photo of his NXT title, and it makes me wonder. People are speculating that he might go back to NXT, and frankly, I mean, I think that feud between The Fiend and Alexa Bliss with Zelina Vega, I just think it makes more sense for him to go back down to NXT because he was great down there, and he didn't. I think he was down there 4, 5, 6 months. I could be wrong about that, but his NXT run seemed very short. He got moved up to the shows very fast.
He was champion as I got back into wrestling, so I don't know how long he was champion for. But yeah, NXT, the way their top of that show has crumbled away due to incidents. They need somebody to take up the mantle even for a short period. Even if he just came back for a little bit would be good. But it's quite crazy really what NXT is like at the moment. NXT compared to a year ago, wow, it's really not in good shape at all.
Yeah, the women's division down in NXT is one of the best, but overall, yeah, that same vibe that I had last year when I was before NXT, before AEW, before all those had a TV deal, it seemed like NXT was on fire. But then when they went to the main shows, they started competing with other, not with the main shows, the main schedule, I should say. But it seems that they spent too much time focusing on the other brand and not themselves.
That is exactly what they've done. They've not built their own show. They've just seemingly programmed to impact AEW's fan base. So it's, you kind of reap what you sow, and it is showing a year on from this network deal, NXT, that what they had has gone for sure.
Yeah. Well, moving on to more WWE news, though. Apparently, according to Dave Meltzer, John Cena and The Undertaker might be used for WrestleMania 37. I'm not sure if they'll be facing each other, but what do you think on WWE calling for those two big stars?
The Undertaker's retired, Cody. I'm sure you will have noticed that they said goodbye to The Undertaker, and he's officially retired and will never wrestle again. If you believe that, then wow. Okay. Welcome to wrestling. People do not stay retired, and The Undertaker definitely doesn't stay retired. No. It wouldn't surprise me to see him there at WrestleMania. John Cena, I don't know. I think the Fiend match was a great goodbye to Cena. Unless they bring him back as a heel. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I think fans would like to see. Cena as a heel, and to embrace that side. Otherwise, we've kind of sailed that ship now. Cena's generation has gone, and he wasn't well liked when he left, so he won't be welcome back if he's still playing the same character. He was a great guy, and I was a big Cena fan back in the day. He was the top guy, big match John. And when I came back and watched his 2016 2017 run, I enjoyed that as well. I enjoyed him actually upping his game and wrestling the newer talent. But I'm not interested to see John unless he comes back as heel. And the Undertaker stuff, it depends the match. If it's another cinematic match, then I'm up for that. But the way WWE changed that genre after they had such success at WrestleMania kind of makes me want to say not right now. But it's, what are we? We're in October right now. WrestleMania is in March, April. It's enough time for them to rediscover some production. So I have a soft spot for The Undertaker. I do. Everybody does. Even if it's just for the entrance. I'd wish he retired 5 years ago, but that's not happened. So let's just keep going.
Yeah, with The Undertaker, nobody knows when that man's going to retire. If Vince needs him, he'll do his best, as we heard from the documentary series, which is really, really good, by the way. As for John Cena, coming back at WrestleMania 37 as a face, it would make sense from the storyline for him to be somebody different because of what happened in the Firefly Funhouse match, which everybody who interacts with the Fiend or Bray Wyatt changes on some level or goes back to a different character, whatever background crap they're having for that, but which is pretty cool. But John Cena coming back from a face, though, I think I disagree that he would be ill-received, because no matter what you think of John Cena, face or heel, he knows how to draw a crowd. He knows how to work a crowd. I mean, and crowds or no crowds at WrestleMania 37 next year, John Cena will add to that, because he is pretty much one of the last big-ass stars that WWE has created. And they did a great job with John Cena a lot of the times. And I know a lot of times where people were upset, too, where he was kind of bearing other talent and always being pushed to the moon, unlike other people. But at the same time, if he wasn't pushed like that, we wouldn't be sitting here probably right now talking about how big of a star John Cena is. And John Cena has been incredibly successful through being a face, through a wrestler, through an actor, through Make-A-Wish foundations. So, I mean, I think him coming back from WrestleMania 37 will really add some serious star power, regardless of whether he's face or heel. But it would definitely make sense to have him as a heel.
Yeah, I think story wise, it would. He is a big name. He will draw people back. Just WrestleMania does that anyway. WrestleMania is that curiosity for even the casual fan who hasn't watched it for a while. If they hear WrestleMania's on, they will see stuff going on at that weekend. It's such a big weekend event. In normal circumstances, even this year, it was a big event because it was still happening. That was the novelty this year. So yeah, I agree with you. John Cena coming back is a big deal. It's just that storyline side of it. If he's a heel, it works. If he comes back as just the same guy, it's just a thing that they do for WrestleMania. And right now, I think we need something that's just a little bit different.
Yeah. And continuing the WWE news too. Have you looked at the PWI Women's 100 list from Pro Wrestling Illustrated?
I have not, Cody. That has not come up on my newsfeed at all. So I don't know what has happened with that.
All right. Well, I will. Who do you think the top 5 are? Top 5 women. And this involves WWE, New Japan, AEW, NWA. So, but I mean, just dish out stars who you think.
So Charlotte Flair should be in there.
Okay. Is she part of the top 5?
Yeah, I would. I'd put. Right. I'd always have Charlotte Flair in the top 5. She always has great things. The problem is she hasn't wrestled for a good few months, and so she probably isn't in the. Is she there? Asuka, obviously.
Yep. Top 5. Yep.
A year ago, I said Shayna Baszler. That's just in case Shayna Baszler is listening.
Shayna Baszler is number 13.
Yeah. Not right. Not for 2020. She's not in there. Don't kill me, Shayna Baszler. I would put who else is there? I'm trying to think. Io Shirai.
Io Shirai is number 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised by that. Who have I got? Shida.
Shida is number 6.
Oh, just missed out. And who else is there that has had a good year? Oh, Bailey. Oh, Bailey.
Bailey?
Yeah.
Bailey is in the top 5 as well.
Good. And
all right.
Sasha's probably there, is she?
Sasha Banks is number 5.
Yeah.
So who do you think is number 1 out of those top 5 or top 4 people that you just said? Because you named 4 of them out of the 5.
I didn't do bad there.
No, yeah, you did pretty good.
The top 1, who's had the best year? It's got to be Bailey.
Ding, ding, ding. Yep, it's Bailey, number 1. I mean, she's been the champion for a whole year now. No wonder. And she's been working both shows. I mean, Sasha Banks has been helping her out. But let's face it here, Bailey has had that massive character change and has been really quite the worker in the past year.
She's done a shift. Really has done a shift. So when she cut the Bailey buddies up and we saw that new haircut and the new theme, everyone was a little bit unsure of this new direction. And it took her a while as a performer, I think, as well, to get into it, because she had been so used to being the bubbly, bouncy, childlike enthusiasm Bailey that we'd seen for a while. But she's embraced it, having Sasha there to bounce stuff off with as well. They have been on fire since about February, March time, when it all started building and you could see what they were doing. It wasn't necessarily in the writing itself, but it was in the performances. And she has had that amazing year, and she's been champion for a year. But she's been champion as well since June, effectively, last year. Apart from a week where she lost the belt to Charlotte and then she got it back again by cheating. And we saw this birth of the new character. So she has had an amazing 18 months, I'd say, from where she began as a no hope, losing the tag team belts at WrestleMania in 2019 to all conquering dominant champion. I can't see her losing that belt until Sasha takes it. but I don't know when Sasha takes it because she has this losing record on pay-per-view. I would say it would be WrestleMania. She does that.
Sounds like that temper tantrum really worked out for her.
In the long term, yes.
I'm just messing. I don't even know if that actually happened, but all the rumors about them having a tantrum on the floor and being upset and everything, well, just goes to show that if you whine and moan and complain, you get what you want.
And that's the life lesson everybody should take from this podcast.
Yep. And yeah, Billy's had a phenomenal year. I can't argue with that at all. Coming in second is Becky Lynch. Coming in third is Asuka, because she has been one of the best like MVPs of the pandemic era. Like, you have to, like, she's been hilarious. She has given me so much joy. Coming in at number 4 is Charlotte Flair, and 5, as I said earlier, is Sasha Banks. So that is the top 5. I have the top 20 names right here, but I won't list them all. It's coming in a little later, but yeah, that was the Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I was interested to see who was in that. Normally I'm not, but this year I was. So yeah, those are your top 5 names.
I'm surprised Becky Lynch is second on that list, considering she hasn't wrestled for 6 months.
You gotta think of how she had the first part of that year.
Yes.
Was the Royal Rumble, the defending it at WrestleMania, and like the whole build around that. It was pretty good. Also, you know, her having a child, that's just extra brownie points, you know.
If you ever want to be popular, get pregnant. So, there we go, Cody. We know what we must do.
Well, looks like I'm not getting popular. All right, switching gears. All right, let's talk about the draft. The WWE Draft is all finished, as we spoke about at the beginning of the show, and there's new rosters. What do you think? What are some of the moves that have excited you the most? Or not even excited you, just like got you interested in some future feuds?
The biggest one to make me interested is the New Day. It's not a split because Kofi and Xavier have just gone to Raw, and Big E is on SmackDown. They're still the New Day. That is the intriguing one because we're so used to seeing those 3 interact with each other that to have them on separate shows is a bit different. It's an unusual step. Don't get me talking about the belt swap, because that angered me and I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's intriguing. The swap of having Seth Rollins on SmackDown in the same arena as Roman Reigns intrigues me. Not right away, but it's something that's there for the future, because we know what Seth's going to be doing in the near future, because this seemed to be one of the draft's big themes, were a lot of people that have been feuding with each other seem to just swap shows, which was a little bit of this hasn't shook up everything. It's just moved the background colours, because the Mysterios got drafted across and so did Murphy to SmackDown. So they're the big ones that have really intrigued me. Also, Naomi to Raw is a big one for me, because Naomi, I think, has got lost on SmackDown, despite the small little... it wasn't a revolution. It was a small sort of... it was a small mouthpiece to get Naomi noticed in the summer. And hopefully on Raw she can actually get a chance, because the Raw women's division is quite scarce on top drawers to challenge Asuka, really. I mean, the last 2 challengers have been Zelina Vega, and now we've got Lana. So that's not great advertisement for what is a strong division for the WWE.
Yeah, Lana winning was very confusing, especially because she's been going through a table the last few weeks, which has been very odd.
The past month.
Yeah, Yeah, it's been odd. I don't know why they've been doing that. I mean, some people have speculated, and there's rumors that it's WWE being petty because of Rusev / Miro. I don't know, and honestly, I don't care. I just hope it doesn't. Like, I don't want that petty nonsense in my line of wrestling. I just don't. But it is what it is. But some of the names that went to Raw that I was intrigued about and I did tell you about this before, and we'll see how long my prediction stands. But I told you that Jeff Hardy would be going to Raw. I said my long-term prediction of Jeff Hardy losing the IC championship and going to Raw to face Randy Orton. Now, yeah. Randy Orton will be facing Drew again at the end of the month in Hell in a Cell. I think this is when he will win, because if not, it's kind of pointless to have Randy Orton versus Drew right now again. I thought that was the end of that feud, but they decided to make it go longer as they normally do. It's usually about 2 to 3 matches per feud with WWE, sometimes 4 or 5. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying Jeff Hardy's gonna be champion, but he'll definitely face Randy Orton for the championship if Randy Orton wins. That was my prediction for all those months ago.
You did say it.
Well, it hasn't finished yet. It hasn't finished. And I did say Alexa Bliss is going to be champion in the next 2 to 3 months. It's not going to be the SmackDown title no more, but it's definitely going to be the Raw. She's going to get that title, whether it be from Asuka or somebody else. I'm telling you right now. She's coming for it. Alexa Bliss to Raw was really interesting, along with The Fiend. I like what they're doing with those two things. AJ Styles to Raw, that was good, even though it was funny because he left Raw to avoid Paul Heyman. And then Paul Heyman goes to SmackDown, so he goes back to Raw. I had to laugh at that. That was pretty funny.
Do you remember that guy you don't like? Yeah, well, here he is with Roman Reigns. It's like, guess where I'm off then.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think of I was going to ask you about Retribution, but I'm going to ask you about another wrestler, because Retribution being chosen to be on Raw is just downright stupid. I'm not even going to all I can think of was Randy Orton going stupid, because oh my god, I'm not even going to get into it. I'm just going to move on. Not even going to get into it. But what do you think of Elias coming in and restarting that feud from all those months with Jeff Hardy?
I'm a big Elias fan. It's one of these things that I know people don't like him technically as a wrestler, but he's one of those guys with a gimmick that would be a great mid-card title holder. I wish for him to hold the US title at some point, because he could make it into a song and dance number. He's the American hero, and he'd have a song prepared for it as well. But he looks good as well. If you saw him with a belt, as a Joe public doesn't know anything about wrestling, you would go, that guy, he looks tough. I mean, he's not. He's quite a loser, but that's the character. And I like Elias being back. I do like the fact that he's still saying, well, actually, no, it's Jeff that did everything. I heard about all this stuff with Sheamus, but it's Jeff. It's Jeff's fault that I got hit down by the car and stuff. It's Jeff's fault. It doesn't matter. I like Elias, and the fact that he has come back from because he broke his ankle, didn't he? All those months ago. That was the reason he was out. So to see him back is good. I mean, it's taken a little bit of time to get him back, but yeah, I like Elias. I'm going to apologise to the listener. I like Elias. You can say what you like. I like Elias.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Eventually, he definitely should get a mid-card title. It'd be cool to have the United States of Elias. I like that. I like that a lot. It's a good shout for Elias. Now, do you think who has the U.S. belt now? It's on the Hurt Business? Bobby Lashley.
He's not getting it off Bobby Lashley.
No, not anytime soon. No, and I don't think Jeff Hardy will be either. So it'd be interesting. I guess Jeff Hardy and Elias will have, I guess, maybe that blow-off feud at Hell in a Cell, just a singles match, and then we'll see where that goes after that.
Yeah,
I am. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I think that's the only way you can kind of finish it off. This is a perfect in-between cell match for them for that pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows where that'll lead Elias? But I'm at least happy with WWE for actually doing, somewhat long term booking, because they're chalking back to what happened back in what, April, was it?
Yes, it was just after WrestleMania. So yeah, it'll be April. It was one of the first sort of storylines I think they did after WrestleMania and the whole empty arena business. So yeah, I think that is that. So yeah, that for them 6 months. Yeah, that's long term story booking, kind of.
We still have no idea who the red haired man is. I still say it being Sami Zayn would have been brilliant.
It would have definitely been a swerve, and it could still have been Sami Zayn. We don't know. He's on SmackDown now, so it's he'll never admit to it.
No, yeah, he'll never. It'll be interesting to see what happens though with it if they continue it. But yeah, and for the SmackDown roster, some of the interesting names that were moved over there, as I told you on Facebook a while back or a few days ago, I was like, well, I'm really interested that Seth Rollins is there. Oh, I'm not interested anymore. I was really intrigued by that. I was like, oh my god, yay, they're finally gonna get away from this feud and have Seth Rollins and on SmackDown and feud with other people, and he'll be the SmackDown savior. Sure, fine. And then I looked at my partner and I was like, oh my god, Rey Mysterio, Dominic, they're gonna get called over, aren't they? And then within an hour they were, and I was like, no. I was so let down. I just wanted to see Murphy go solo and just have a solo run. But the interesting one is Bianca Belair going to SmackDown. I'm quite pumped for that. And honestly, I think I don't like how they treat Sasha Banks with her defending her titles at immediately losing them after a month at a pay-per-view, because there's I think it's been that way for every single title run she's had. But in this case scenario, I think it might benefit Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, because if Sasha takes it from Bayley and then only holds on to it for a month, and then Bianca Belair takes it off of Sasha Banks, let's say, I don't know, at TLC, because at Survivor Series they're all going to be facing the opposite champions, I imagine. But so it could be Sasha Banks versus Asuka again, which we've already seen. But still, that'll be all right at a Survivor Series event. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a triple threat again with whoever is the women's champion, whether it be Io Shirai or Candice LeRae, because they're defending, or Io Shirai is defending at Halloween Havoc. That was announced last night as well. So that'll be interesting to see what happens at Survivor Series. But Daniel Bryan, he's supposed to appear this Friday on SmackDown. We haven't seen him for a while.
No, we haven't actually. I hadn't realised we hadn't seen him for a long time. Yes, that would be good actually to see him back, and hopefully he'll go after the IC title. That'll be good.
Yeah, it will be. Oh, great. So that's the WWE Draft. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward from that. But we only have about 15 minutes left of the podcast, and I want to tackle some AEW discussion, because what is better? Well, then maybe New Japan at times. But, the G1 has been incredible so far. Have you been watching it at all?
I have literally had no time to watch it, Cody. My intention was to watch it, as every single year. My intention is to watch some of the G1. And every single year, something comes up, and I get lost and miss out. So, yes, I have no idea what's going on in the G1, to be honest. It just is one of those things I wish I had time for, because I hear such good stuff about it.
Well, try and make some time for the finals, because the finals are going to be great. It doesn't matter what happens at this point in the competition. I think it's going to be one hell of a finals, and I can't wait to watch it. All right. Anniversary show. 1 year later, and we're talking about AEW Dynamite. What'd you think of the anniversary show? All 4 titles were defended, but all 4 titles, spoiler alert, were retained.
Yeah, if you'd have told me that at the beginning of the show that all 4 titles would be retained, I would have said, oh, that's a bit of a shame. That's not good. But actually, the way that they did it, yes, I think the match of the night was the Cody Orange Cassidy match, because Orange again leveled up. He showed his worth and took Cody to the limit, and it was a draw. Cody didn't take Orange seriously, and Cody showed that kind of arrogance and swagger that he does possess. So that was a great match. The FTR match, I think, got a little bit convoluted at the end with the stuff with Kip Sabian's arcade game and bits. That kind of took me out of it a bit, but I enjoyed the match, and it was a good fight again. Best friends taking the fight to FTR, but FTR resorting to some backhanded tactics, which again, the ending just looked a little bit clumsy at the end with the referee bump, or the referee fall, should I say, not seeing the hit with the belt. But it was a great show. The MJF Chris Jericho segment in the middle is everything you wanted from it. It just built and built and built, and the tease of a one-on-one between the two next week, one-on-one for some steak. So
that was beautiful. I laughed so hard.
You watch just two great promo guys just knowing exactly what they're doing with each other, and it is fantastic. The main event, we've got a storyline with Eddie Kingston still. Don't mind that at all. They just put things in place and they stack them up, and it has been a fantastic year or so, because the anniversary show isn't when the anniversary is, but that's been advertised a lot. But it's been a fantastic year, and I can't wait to see where we end up in a year's time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what September 2021 is looking like for AEW. That Orange Cassidy versus Cody was great. I think that was my favorite match on the card last night. I really do. I think I had the greatest time with that match, because I don't think there's a bad Cody match ever.
No,
he gets it all the time in the ring. Like, again, like that swagger that you were talking about that he has, that arrogance. I mean, people are speculating that he might still go heel at some point with that arrogance, but I mean, he came out last week and told everybody that, that was, he's still a face and stuff like that. So with how he described it, I'm just paraphrasing. But the funny thing was that his hair was back to blonde.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I mean, I know he came out last week, and I think he mentioned about the whole change of a persona, and like with the black hair on and everything. And I don't know why he went back. I don't even know why he did it to begin with. I figured he did it just to, cement a kind of a new character change kind of going forward. But he didn't. He went right back to blonde. He went back to not technically, is it old or new Cody at this point? I don't even know. But I was very surprised that he went from that jet black to right back to bleach blonde hair, which I'm not really sure the reason why. I mean, maybe it was said online somewhere and I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, it's just hair at the end of the day. The feud was fine. It did what it needed to do. And I think we actually might end up getting Orange Cassidy versus Cody versus Darby Allin at Full Gear.
Yes, I would agree with you with that, because Cassidy had Cody down for the pin. And if it had lasted, if it was a normal match, if it didn't have the 20-minute limit, Orange Cassidy would have won the title. It's interesting. I noted that Cody's not wearing his weight belt anymore either.
Oh yeah, good shout.
So this is a new looking Cody. It's a different style of Cody. So the thing that intrigues me about the Cody relationship is Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson was shouting at Cody so much last night, especially when Cody was taking his time and doing the bits around the ring post, that there is still that rumor about the Four Horsemen and who would be in the Four Horsemen if it happens. And the way that Cody was just swaggering about last night made me go, oh, it would be quite cool to see you as the leader of a group. But it's a long-term thing. It will slowly be dripped to us because they've been playing this for a long time now. And it's just little features, little bits, like the hair stuff. We pick up on it because we know from AEW that the small details are important.
Yeah,
it's the stuff in the promos that MJF talks about, the way that he changes from Chris to Christopher when he's talking to Chris Jericho, really putting Chris Jericho in his place when he calls him Christopher. And it's the details company's AEW. It really is details, and yes, we've got a lot to look forward to. I don't think anybody left the show looking weak in any way. The teams and the opponents, the number one contenders that lost, they lost, but they didn't look like they got buried or in any way were weakened by it. Lance Archer still looks like a murder hawk because Jon Moxley used a wrestling move on him, counted him and rolled him up for the pin.
Yeah. I don't mean to I don't mean to cut you off there. I really don't. But that match between Jon Moxley and Lance Archer, when you said that he still looks like a murder hawk, you damn right he still looks like a murder hawk. That match was absolutely insane, especially that paradigm shift between those two tables. Oh my Lord.
Yes, just the visual of that, and sometimes in wrestling you realize how dangerous this thing is, and wow, they just are machines. I don't care how much safer that some of this stuff is that it appears, it still hurts. It's still gonna hurt. But yeah, it was brilliant, and that was something in the Orange Cassidy and Cody match. Orange Cassidy's technical wrestling in that, where he does the reversals and does the tricky pins and stuff, that shows how talented that roster is, that everybody can do that, and they're allowed to show that skill.
Yeah, and to anybody who may have been confused about me mentioning Darby Allin earlier, it was announced that in 2 weeks' time, Cody versus Orange Cassidy will be happening on is it the episode before Full Gear?
7th of November. So yes, it is. It's the episode before. So Full Gear, I think, is. Oh yes, Full Gear is the weekend after.
Yeah, Full Gear is the 7th. So this is on the 4th.
Let me think. Yes, it is the 4th. 4th of November. There we go.
So yeah, so we have Darby Allin going for whoever has the TNT title in a singles match, supposedly right now for Full Gear. But I think it'll turn into a triple threat because you don't want Orange Cassidy to lose again. I mean, technically he hasn't lost, right? He lost against Brody Lee, which was good. You know, Brody Lee was that absolute maniac of a champion. Cody finally got the just desserts. He got the one up on him. But Brody Lee put Orange Cassidy in his place when he went up for the title, I believe. I've been watching so much wrestling. You have no idea. I get so many shows confused. I'm watching New Japan. I'm watching NXT. I'm watching AEW. I'm watching WWE. Just kill me now. Oh, my. But, yeah, with Orange Cassidy losing to Brody Lee before, you don't want him to lose against Cody in another title shot. So the draw definitely protected both people, and it was a perfect use of it, but you don't want to use it again in 2 or 3 weeks whenever that match happens. So I don't know what they're going to do here. This is why I think shenanigans might happen, and it'll somehow end up being Darby Allin, Cody, and Orange Cassidy, a Full Gear and triple threat.
Just as you said the words, Brody Lee. Brody Lee will not let Cody rest with that title either.
Could be a fatal four.
You could have a fatal four. which they've not done in AEW. So I don't think they have.
You might be right about that. I'm trying to think.
They tend to do singles matches for their belts. I wouldn't be shocked if we had a 4-way.
Oh wait, there might have been a 4-way in the women's division. Can't remember. Last year in one of the summer pay-per-views, maybe. I could be wrong.
Oh, possibly.
I can't remember. I could be wrong, but they haven't been using them very often, if they haven't used them at all.
They're a very rare event to see 4 wrestlers in the ring at AEW, so you could have legitimately 3 other guys and the champion, whoever that is, in that ring together.
Yeah.
And that could be amazing to see. The different styles, the different abilities, Darby Allin's suicidal kind of tendencies, Brody Lee's the big muscle, Cody is your classical wrestler if you want, and Orange Cassidy's Orange Cassidy. There's no box for Orange Cassidy. So yeah, that could be an amazing clash of styles, and it's not oft. This is the thing with AEW, you start booking stuff in your head because you care about it so much that you think, well, that is amazing, but then whatever they do will be amazing. So it's the company you trust the process with, and whatever they've got planned is fantastic. And this MJF Chris Jericho stuff, what they've got planned, I do not really know, but I am enjoying this ride.
Yeah, it's been one hell of a ride, and with only a couple of minutes left too in this podcast, I just want to have your brief opinion on the new singles competition for the AEW title. The finals are going to be at Full Gear, and I think the finals are going to be Kenny Omega and Adam Page. But what do you think?
I think Wardlow. Weirdly enough, I feel
really?
I feel Wardlow and Omega in the final. I don't know what it is. Wardlow. I don't know if it's because I slightly love the man. I don't know. But I'd like to see him try and go for the title and see MJF kind of battling with that, because he can't stand Wardlow getting any limelight. I think Page will lose. I think Page will come up short. I'm intrigued to see Pentagon, Zero Miro, and Ray Phoenix go against each other, because that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, they will absolutely destroy each other.
They're just they're 2 of my most underrated wrestlers on that show, which is crazy to say that Ray Phoenix is underrated and Pentagon is, but they're going to go for it. They're going to destroy each other, and then whoever goes up against Kenny Omega is going to take it to him. And yeah, this tournament is for Kenny to win, and I suspect take the title of John Moxley, and have that big fight that we never really got in an official capacity. We got the unsanctioned match. So yeah, it's so tantalizing. I know you said a short answer, but it's impossible to do a short answer with AEW.
No, it's fine, man. It's fine. I mean, Wardlow is an interesting shout. I mean, it would be definitely interesting for Kenny Omega versus Wardlow, but they've been pushing this feud between Adam Page and Kenny Omega so far, especially on BTE as well. So I can only imagine the best blow up between these two is at Full Gear in a singles match. So I mean, it makes all the sense in the world to have Kenny versus Adam in the finals. It makes pretty much zero sense right now for storyline wise to have Wardlow just in there in the finals. But we'll see, because MJF getting jealous and everything is totally up his alley.
And my reasoning as well is that Kenny can say to Adam, "Well, look, you can't even get through a singles championship. You're not even a very good wrestler. You can't even come up against me." That is kind of where I've booked it in my head. I want them to just draw this out again, where Kenny just gets this bigger head that Adam Page is nowhere near his level. Get Page on a run later in the year, and then have it all come together. That's
certainly, yeah. That's a good shout. I like that. That's a good idea.
But there's different ways of going with it, and your idea is great as well. Like this is us completely fantasy booking and loving it all. And there is no wrong answer with this, unless you go, well, you know what would be really cool is if I don't know, I'm trying to think of a wrestler I don't like, and it's really hard. But somebody completely out of the blue wins the title, and you think, well, that makes no sense. What's going on there? But there we go.
Well, stuff just doesn't happen in AEW, unfortunately for us.
I'm so pleased it just doesn't happen in AEW. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. And with that, we will wrap things up. Thanks to everyone who continues to listen to the podcast. If you want to hear your voice on here, simply send me a PM on any of my social media. You can find all of our socials at SoundCloud under Lotus Moon Productions, Facebook under Lotus Moon Productions, Twitter under Lotus Moon Prod, Lotus M Productions on Instagram, which is new, and you can search us on YouTube under Lotus Moon Productions. Do not forget to subscribe or follow to James's Twitter account at LMP_jam. And with that, that has been LMP Wrestling, and we are signing off.